to sit at the conference table. And he thinks that's going to be it.
At Ciano's urging, and as a way of showing his independence, Mussolini decided to seize Greece without informing Hitler.
It was felt that Greece would be a sort of nice, easy target. It was felt the Greek military weren't up to a fight. The Italians were already in Albania, of course. It was simply a job of stepping over the border and Greece would collapse. The Italians began the offensive with very little planning. The weather was appalling.
This was the autumn, during the time of the autumn rains, very bad weather, to move across Balkan mountains into Greece. The result was that the invasion was a complete failure.
The Greek army dug its heels in and fought back and pushed the Italians back into Albania. So it was disastrously ill-conceived and disastrously carried out operation.
Mussolini had ignored military advice in ordering the invasion, but he began to blame his soldiers rather than himself.
It is the material that I lack. Even Michelangelo needed marble to make statues. If he had only clay, he would have been nothing more than a potter.
Hitler now had to rush troops to invade the Balkans and Greece. Mussolini was humiliated.
The last thing Mussolini wanted was the Germans anywhere in his sphere of operations whatsoever. So to have to admit defeat was a pretty serious humiliation.
And now he has to play second fiddle to his ally in Nazi Germany. And this gets worse and worse as time goes on. Every place Italy fought virtually was a defeat for Italy.
From now on, Mussolini was completely in Hitler's hands. At 3 a.m. on the 22nd of June 1941, Mussolini was woken to be told of the German attack on the Soviet Union. There had been no consultation, no forewarning. Mussolini was angry and humiliated.
Even I don't dare disturb my servants at night, but the Germans make me jump out of bed at any hour without the slightest consideration.
Germany was now the absolutely dominant partner in the Axis. Italians felt powerless. The great question in Italy was, who is really the enemy? The popular saying on the streets was, if Britain wins, we lose, but if Germany wins, we are lost. Mussolini shared the very same suspicion. He told Ciano bitterly,
I now seriously ask whether an English victory would not be more desirable for our future than a German victory.
Italian defeats escalated through 1943 with mass surrenders to the Allies in North Africa. When Allied forces landed in Sicily, 12,000 more surrendered without firing a shot. 3 years of military disasters had destroyed the foundations of Italian fascism. Ciano and several other leading fascists began to think the unthinkable. Mussolini would have to go.
I think that before long it will be necessary to place all powers in the hands of the military.
On July 25th, 1943, Mussolini was toppled by a group of fascists, including his son-in-law Ciano. They then meekly handed constitutional power back to the king. The Iron Dictator was a broken man. At first, there was euphoria. 20 years of fascism seemed to have melted away like snow. The king, Victor Emmanuel III, appointed Marshal Pietro Badoglio, former head of the armed services, as the new prime minister. Badoglio imprisoned Mussolini and also arrested Ciano, who was accused of massive corruption. But the chance to shorten the war and bring peace to Italy was botched.
It turned out to be a fiasco. The Allies and Badoglio could not coordinate what was going to happen. Badoglio and the king pulled up and left Rome in a disaster, a disgrace, in flight to go head south.